Hello, everyone. Welcome to Better Talks. I'm here today with a special guest, and I'm going to kindly allow him to introduce himself to the audience.
I am Kevin Palmieri. I am the founder and host of Next Level University, a global top 100 podcast.
I'm interested to know about the mind because the mind is such a powerful tool that we possess as human beings that sometimes we can use it to construct our life, sometimes we can use it to destroy our life. When we talk about mindset, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with people having a fixed mindset, people having a growth mindset.
Yeah, one of the quotes I often say is what you think you are is more important than what you actually are. And all I mean by that is if you're somebody who has convinced yourself that you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you can never be successful, unfortunately, you kind of sabotage yourself into taking those actions or not taking those actions. So, fixed mindset is somebody who says, I am the way I am forever. I can't get any smarter. I can't get any better. I can't get any faster. I'm not going to learn anything. Who I am today is who I'm going to be forever. Another big key for having a fixed mindset is you it's really hard to fail at something and then make it a constructive lesson. So anytime you make a mistake, it seems like the end of the world. That is something I dealt with a ton in the beginning. Then a growth mindset is somebody who says, well, I know I'm malleable. I know I can change myself. There's pretty valuable lessons in losses that I'll be able to use, and I'm willing to take chances because even if I make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. The hard part is when you have a fixed mindset, it almost seems like there is a lot of stuff that is not applicable to you. If you don't think you can be successful, unless there is a massive stroke of luck, you're most likely not going to be. And then here's the deeper part of that. If you don't believe that you are capable of accomplishing it, if you don't believe you are deserving of the results that you're trying to accomplish, you might accidentally self-sabotage your success by saying no to opportunities that you've been working towards, saying no to collaborations you might have desired in the past. So I know mindset is something that a lot of people talk about, and it might seem like it doesn't matter that much, but I think everything at the end of the day boils down to your mindset. And what you think of is you talking to yourself, and you talk to yourself more than you talk to anybody else. So if you had a friend who had the negativity that maybe you have in your mind towards yourself, you probably wouldn't spend as much time with that friend. But when it comes to mindset, we don't really have that option, right? We are going to live with our mind forever, so it's our job to kind of rehone and refocus what we think.
Thank you so much. I would like you to explain to us as the audience, in terms of how would you differentiate between our belief system and our mindset? Because I'm pretty sure our belief system plays a tremendous role in developing, grounding our mindset.
Yeah, from my perspective, when I think of belief system, I think it's what you believe about the world. When I think about mindset, I think it's what you believe about yourself. So the belief system could be like there's a lot of people out there that their belief system is money is bad.
Mm,
People who have money are bad people. In order to get money, I must take advantage of some people. That is a belief system. That doesn't necessarily mean that their mindset is I hate money. Their
mm,
mindset their mindset might be different. It might be I've never been able to get money. I don't know how to go about accumulating money. I don't know how to go about accumulating wealth. So I think the belief system is more external, what you believe about the world and those around you. And then the mindset, at least from my perspective, is what you believe about yourself. The belief system dictates what you do with others in the external world. And then I think the mindset dictates what you do on a personal level, the chances you take, the chances you don't take, that type of stuff.
our view of other people or our view of the world, don't you think that also plays a role in how we build ourselves, how we build our own view?
Yeah, I would say, even in that example, if you're somebody who villainizes money, then you might internalize that as I can't get money
Mm,
because if I do, I'll end up being a bad person. So I think they're definitely connected and interconnected, but I think usually it starts with one that dissolves into the other one, and then we have to work on that. So if you believe that money is the root of all evil and that has crept into your mindset, then we have to work on the mindset, and then hopefully that will adjust the way that you're looking at the world. So yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Because sometimes it's very hard to be in an environment that is so negative and you're trying to get out of that environment. You're trying to get out of that box that have been enclosed with people always believing that, oh, based on my race, based on my culture, or based on where I'm from, I don't think things can work like that.
Yeah, one thing is I don't say this anymore. I don't say you have to cut people out of your life. I'm not saying that. You don't have to cut people out of your life. But it probably would benefit us to reallocate time from those that we feel like we have to constrict around. We feel like we have to play small. We feel like we can't grow because growth isn't cool in this circle. I'm not going to talk about growth. Nobody wants to talk about growth. So let's reallocate some of that time to something that we're going to be grateful we did in the future. I think that's step one. I think step one is awareness, right? When I spend time around this person, I always feel like they're just taking wind out of my sails, and I feel like I'm pretending to be somebody I'm not. I don't like that anymore. Okay, what is that about? Oh, okay, they don't value the things that I value. So it's very appropriate because you started with beliefs.
Yes.
Another important thing is core values. I'm on your podcast talking about growth because you and I value growth.
Yes.
But if you didn't value growth, you would have kicked me out of here already. And you would have said, what are we talking about here? I want to talk about sports, or I want to talk about movies or food or whatever it is. So what you value dictates your relationships. And as what you value changes, usually the dynamic of your relationships is going to change too. So one, let's identify the people that are actually anchors that are holding us back. Two, let's identify who are the engines in our lives. So do we have anybody in our lives that we actually think would be beneficial to spend more time with based on similar core values? Okay. If so, let's reach out to them. If not, yeah, I think it's probably time to go find a positive community. And here's the upside. Now it's easier than it's ever been. There's Facebook groups, there's email lists, there's podcasts, there's a bunch of different places you can go for free, find people that are into what you're into. So I would say it's very, very important to do that, because here's the other thing. You wanting to be more successful in life, love, health, and wealth is already challenging. Never mind if you are doing it around people who don't want you to succeed.
Yeah.
That makes it so much harder. So yeah, definitely community is one of the big pillars of whether or not people are going to be able to achieve the level of success they want.
I mean, that's why people leave their countries to come to places like the US, Canada, looking for what the American dream, the Canadian dream, because their environment, because sometimes I know we are our environment. Sometimes we are our belief system. Sometimes we are our values. All of these components shape our mindset. You just mentioned value, belief system, our environment, right?
Yeah.
And I know sometimes we can rise above our environment. We can rise above the social belief systems that we have. Now, speaking of values, how can one identify their key values in your life? I mean, that's something that I personally am struggling with, because I'm all over the place. What is it that I am interested in? I can invest my time, my resources, even build my relationship around my core values.
Yeah, one easy way is to look at people that you admire and try to figure out what is it about that person that you really admire. Are they somebody who's very charitable? Oh, I admire the fact that every time I'm with Chris is always taking care of people. He's always leaving big tips, or he gives money to people when they need it. Okay, awesome. Or Maria is always super vulnerable and supportive when I'm struggling with something. Oh, I really, really value that. I value that about that person. So one is I would look towards the people that you resonate with. That's one. Two, if I was to say, okay, I want you to make a list of how you're spending all of your time, you would get very clear on, okay, so I go to the gym every day. I must value fitness at a pretty deep level. Okay. When I don't go to the gym, I feel bad that I'm not going to the gym. Oh, that's also recognition of something that I value. Okay. So I think that fulfillment and regret are really good teachers for figuring out what you value. If you do the thing and it fulfills you, you probably value it. If you don't do the thing and you regret it, you probably value it. So I would probably start by just making a list of what does your day look like, and then kind of take it from there.
So you're saying that, okay, regret and fulfillment. Interesting. One way to discover your values is, number one, whatever you give your attention to, whatever you focus on. It could be you see yourself spending most of your time in the gym, shows that, wow, you do value the idea of fitness. Or you see yourself spending time reading books or listening to motivational speech. It speaks that you value improvement, growth. The takeaway from these things that you're doing, because they bring a sense of fulfillment. Because you can be busy. Busyness does not mean that you are fulfilled.
No.
Busyness does not mean that whatever you're doing is productive or meaningful. It's what you get in return. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it selfish for me to say that when I spend time with people or when I give myself to people, even though I don't value what you're doing or I'm not interested in what you're doing, but I'm just there just to help them or to show my support? Will that create a sense of I'm losing myself? I am not seeking my own interest, but then if I don't help them, I'm seen as a selfish person. Not because I want to be selfish. It's just that I am looking at where can I spend my time, where can I spend my resources based on the things that I value. So how would you differentiate between being selfish and being self-interest?
Yeah, that is a hard one, because contextually, some people will think you're selfish, where I wouldn't, because I value your opinion to choose where you spend your time more than I value if you choose to spend it with me. I want you to spend your time where you want to spend your time. I value the freedom for you to be able to do that. So I don't take it personally when you don't choose me. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to experience that. This is what I would say. Okay, if somebody said to you, hey, every time I call you, every time I text you, every time I invite you to something, you never want to come. Why? And you could say, well, Kev, I value you and I value your friendship and I value our relationship, but right now I'm in the process of building a podcast, or right now I have a new relationship that I value more. I value time with my family or my children more. It just becomes a prioritization of what you value. Because there are some people that would drop everything and go take care of that person. That's because they value that more than maybe somebody else does. So I think it's a very similar conversation about just a level of value. And here's the other thing. If you were to do that, if you were to drop everything, even though you don't want to, and you go see this person, and then you regret it, and then you start to resent them, that relationship's not going to last anyway. So that's the really hard thing. Alan has this quote where he says, "What if what's best for you is what's best for the world?" That's a very philosophical, up in the sky thought, but if you're the most fulfilled version of yourself, won't you be able to impact all of the people that you come across more positively and more exponentially? Probably. So yeah, I would leave it up to that. Does that answer the question? No, it might make even more questions, but I think that's kind of the place of awareness to start.
Wow. Because you mentioned prioritization, because sometimes our values are what we prioritize. You understand? Our values are for us, because not everybody will share the same value. Luckily, if you can come across somebody that has the same values as you, then you guys can work together. There's agreement. And I've also noticed that when it comes to starting a business, trying to select a partner, there's no way if you and your partner don't share core key values, or you want to get into a relationship where you and your spouse don't share core key values that will keep the relationship going. Because at the end of the day, you need to have a common ground. So values are so essential that it prioritizes pretty much everything about your life.
Yeah. It creates an opportunity for you to know what's important. That's all it is. When we say, what's the most valuable thing in your home? Some people would automatically think, okay, what's the thing that costs the most? I'm willing to bet that they value money a lot. Other people would say, that picture that my grandmother gave me that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation, I'm willing to bet that person values family. Somebody might say my laptop, my camera, my microphone. That's somebody that values business and their craft or whatever it is. So the stuff that you care about the most, the stuff that you prioritize the most, are usually pretty accurate in terms of what you value, / if you don't do them and you start to feel bad about it. So there's somebody out there probably listening right now who values family at a very, very high degree, but business has been just kicking their butt lately. And they're not seeing their family as much as they want, and they regret that. That's also a very good indicator that you're not in alignment with what you value as a human being.
Like you mentioned, regret and fulfillment. When you're outside of your value, there's that sense of regret, resentment. But when you're in line with your value, there's that sense of fulfillment, because our day-to-day activities as a result of our value system, and even our decision making stems from our value system. We make decisions based on what we value. Could we also tie our value with our passion?
Passion is a deep desire. So I would say it's fairly in alignment. But if I notice anything when I reflect on this, a lot of the things that I used to be very passionate about, I'm not as passionate about anymore. So I think when your values change, your passions change too in a way. I'm somebody who I love writing music and rapping.
Yes. Wow.
Might not guess that. That's a random fact about me. But I've noticed that as I've gotten busier and busier and busier, my passion for it's not as much as it used to be.
Interesting.
I still value it. I might value music now more than I ever have, but I don't value creating music as much as I used to. So there's something to that, I'm guessing. I just don't know what it is yet.
So are you saying that our values can change?
Imagine somebody comes to you and says, yeah, everything changed when I had kids. I knew it was going to be a certain way, and now that I have a little child, everything is different. All that is a reprioritization of values based on a new input. I think it's really hard to value what you're not aware of yet. Sometimes it's hard to value what you haven't experienced. If you've never experienced something, how do you know whether or not it's for you? It's hard to know.
So, wow, that's interesting. You cannot value what you don't know. You value what you know or what you experience, right? Or you value something based on the importance or the impact in your life. Sometimes our experiences can make us to value certain things. Like right now, I value not to fail, because when you fail, it takes a lot from you, and it's very costly. I value success, and that is why I'm interested in development, because of the failures that I've had in my life.
Values have to change too. If I wake up, I think this is one of the reasons why when you have something very challenging happen to you, it changes everything. Because if you come close to dying, you start to realize all the stuff that I used to care about didn't really matter that much. I want to care about stuff that's really deeply meaningful. And then you value things at a different level. When your health is taken away from you, you value your health. When your freedom is taken away from you, you value your freedom even more. You have perspective, you have gratitude. So I think goals is another way. If you want to value fitness more, you have to set a goal that requires you to value it more.
How would you balance pursuing money and meaning?
Yeah, I think I would say in an ideal world, you would kind of have two different paths. You would have one path that pays the bills. And so I think of it as kind of two trains. One train is a financial train that is already making you money and you're doing. So it might be a 9 to 5.
Yes.
That you don't love. On the side hustle side, you do something that you are extremely fulfilled doing.
Yes.
With the ultimate goal that eventually it can be 100% 9 to 5 and 0% side hustle. And then it goes 90%, 10%, 80%, 20%, 70%, 30%. And then eventually you're able to do the fulfilling thing for the vast majority of time. But it's hard because a lot of the fulfilling stuff we like to do has to be attached to a vehicle that makes money. So think of it this way. Yeah. I'm a podcaster that's my job. I podcast full time. But I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of speaking. It's all fulfilling. But I started podcasting as the thing that fulfilled me the most. And then I realized, oh, there's a bunch of other things that I'm going to do in order to actually be able to do the thing that fulfills me the most for a longer period of time. So I think eventually it's just a pie chart. Eventually, at the beginning, you're doing the thing that you got to do to pay the bills.
Yes.
Then eventually you can start doing the side hustle thing, figure out what that is. But you want to make sure that you have a meaningful amount of money to do that, because here's the truth. I've been very financially successful and miserable. That wasn't fulfilling. I've been very broke and podcasting all the time. That was fulfilling, but it wasn't sustainable because I wasn't making any money. So there is a way to strike a balance in between, I think.
So my last question to you is that when it comes to mindset, how can people develop a growth mindset?
I think the most important thing is to reevaluate your relationship with failure, because you're going to make mistakes, and mistakes don't make you bad. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're not smart enough. The most successful people I have ever met in my entire life are also the biggest failures that you could ever meet. Nobody looks at the failures, though. They only look at the successes.
Wow.
Same for me. For every public success you see, there's 100 failures behind the scenes that nobody ever sees.
Wow.
I would say out of all the things that I've done and the things that have made the biggest difference, it's just been failing long enough in a healthy amount. So if you're a speaker and you want to be a better speaker, I'd rather you fail in front of your family in the living room than fail on stage in front of 5,000 people, because that might break you and you might think, oh, I can never do this again. Fail at the level that you're comfortable failing. And then when you get comfortable there, you move up a little bit incrementally. That's the advice I would give.
Wow. Interesting. So embracing failure and being positive about it. I know people sometimes use the word fail forward, fail fast.
You just fail in the right direction. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen is people, they take a big shot that they're not ready for yet. Don't feel like you have to change your life overnight. Don't feel like you have to go from where you are to the most successful overnight. It doesn't work that way. Nothing does.
Wow.
You're just a little bit more today than you were yesterday, and rinse and repeat that forever.
So that's why growth is a continuous process. We're constantly growing because we don't know it all. You know what I mean? There's some certain things that you are very good at. That's why having a humble spirit, being humble to say, you know what, I can learn something from Mr. Kevin. Like right now, I'm learning quite a lot from you in terms of my view about failure. And that's one of the reasons why I love this podcast, because I get the opportunity to learn myself, not just for the audience. What you know that helps you to grow. What you don't know, you cannot grow, because you need something that you didn't know, or you need something that you didn't have, but you want to have. And other people have been there, done that. Like you can take from them. What are your top 3 transferable skills that you have acquired based on your experience?
Man, I think humility. I've been humbled a lot in this journey, because when you think it's going to go a certain way and it doesn't, it creates a lot of humility. I think consistency is one of the most valuable things for anybody across any organization, any job title, any employment. If you can show up and do something every day for a long period of time, you're going to end up further than most people. And then I would say vulnerability, the ability to ask for help, the ability to say, hey, I'm struggling, the ability to just be honest about where you are. I know it seems like weakness. I know it seems like people are going to look down on you, but the right people are going to really, really vibe with that. And they're going to look at you in a very positive light, and you don't know what inspiration that'll have for other people.